The decision is made, turn lime to lemonade. Smitten in the vision, fighting highs, flights high like kites or pigeons. My ultimate scheming, discipline in the prism. It sheds light on many days through the sun rays, my Earl Greys. Giving back to the communal as it congregates. Giving wage to my brain ways, thus the universe plays, causing delays with an earthly taste. Grounded in the doubtful decays, until the noise, it settles. Hello everyone, welcome back to Poetry Journal Podcast. I am your host, Alex Murdoch, and hope everyone's doing good today. Just thought I'd come through as I do and shed some creation. In this case, this is a short one I wrote, and it pretty much encapsulates what I really want to, just kind of capture or expand on today. And I'll give you a hint. This piece, and of course from what you've heard just now, is called White Noise. Let me just go back now and go through the whole piece. That was just a little piece. It's a short one, but I'm gonna read the whole thing, and I just let you know where my mind was at when I wrote it. Okay, here we go. White Noise. The decision is made, turn lime to lemonade, smitten in the vision, flights high like kites or pigeons. My ultimate scheming, discipline in the prism, it sheds light on my many days through the sun rays, my Earl Greys. Giving back to the communal as it congregates, giving ways to my brain ways, thus the universe plays, causing delays with an earthly taste. Grounding in my doubtful decays, until the poise it settles the noise, the gruesome nuisance, noise pollution. My driven headlights, sometimes the lies are like a prize, they filter the doubts, they hang like truths I call smitten headlies. They filter my brute and headaches with high vibrate cries, then I sigh. Forever grateful, like I don't know why. And that's pretty much what I wrote. And with this one, let's start with some questions, and then I'll go into it. What are some of the things, like, think about your think about your situation. Tell me about think about some of the things that it's almost like, think about some of the things that would just pop up into your head, and almost like, not necessarily to distract you, like majorly distract you from what your focus is on, maybe the day, the part of your life, or the stage or situation that you're trying to make the best of, something like that. But in essence, that's kind of like what it was written, like I said to you, like I explained, most of my experience is pretty much most of my poetry is pretty much from my experience. And so in this case, my experience was more about, just having little tugs in the back of the mind. It's almost like a subconscious thing to an extent, where, to the point where you don't actually, acknowledging, or like, you don't even sense what is going on, because you're not really paying attention, because it's just there in the background. Another way to put it is like background noise, or white noise, noise pollution, in a sense, different things that are possibly synonymous with the way my descriptive terms and the way I like to kind of just speak on it, just break it down. But in this sense, I felt the appropriate term was white noise. And the best way I like to think about it is, paper cuts. When I think about paper cuts, I think about, you get one paper cut or two momentarily here or there. It's nothing, isn't it? It's just like, oh, like a little gnat. It's just an annoyance. It's nothing major. But what if you get 1,000 paper cuts one time? No, that wouldn't you say that would make you pay attention? But what if you never considered, this situation or this experience you're having in terms of like paper cuts as something that, oh man, this could really be potentially life-changing, life-threatening, in a sense, that type of way. I don't think certain people think about what I'm talking about now. This topic I'm considering, which is all pretty much mental situations I'm kind of describing. And I'm basically saying, like, whether you call it doubts or mental affliction, in a sense where like you self-sabotage, or in any ways, different ways of like tripping yourself up. I think these are like, in essence, almost like paper cuts. And it's almost like it ends up being like, this thing that breaks the camel's back, in a sense. Hence why I say paper cuts, because it's like 1,000 different inflictions of doubt that one day it finally hits you, and all of a sudden it's too much to bear. And I guess what I'm saying, the end result would be, in my analogy would be like, if you imagine like 1,000 paper cuts one time, you most likely bleed out. Well, in this case, speaking from a mental situation, it could show itself into like overload, feeling like, this is too much. This is too much, and I can't bear this. It's something that's getting to me and breaking me down. And at this point, it's almost like life, it changes. It's not the same as in like, your experience on life in terms of like you just trying to live, make things grow, or possibly create growth for yourself. It's no longer, it's almost like a distraction from, your path in life and what you're supposed to be doing. And so this is where I think is something to kind of pretty much just kind of pay attention to or speak on. And like I said, it's kind of like it changes your path. It changes your trajectory from where it's supposed to be. And sometimes it depends on who you are. It can not only change, it can not only, some people, it could just be a distraction. But, that builds over time to become something else. And some people, it begins with one of the worst things where, like, I would say certain people, you don't have the mental endurance per se as some. So, you could see that in somebody almost like in almost like a mental snap, in a sense, which, yes, as as violent as it sounds, it could literally result in something like that. So, when I think about a mental snap, something like somebody just like, just experience something that is just like, it just tweaks their mental in a way where it's almost like, oh my, I don't even recognize this person anymore. Or like, mentally they just have a groundswell, a shift. And now I'm in a place where I don't recognize, I'm not familiar with, and downright, most likely one could argue, is unhealthy for yes, but would I would say would end result would be something like definitely debilitative, mental drain. I would think would be one of the biggest factors. And it's almost like certain people, that's where the development of extensive anxiety for prolonged period, it could be possibly a cause of that. And then there's also, as with anxiety, that which is another thing where it's almost like you have it long enough, this could turn into something chronic that could lead to depression. So there's all these different factors that you have to consider, and you're not really, I would say, unless you're in a situation, you're probably not paying attention to it. Do you get what I mean? So it's just, I just thought it was something definitely to kind of go into, to discuss and speak on. Now, why is this relevant? How did I come to this discovery, in a sense, to speak to wanting to kind of explore this idea? Well, I'm glad you asked. I've been focusing on mental upliftment for, like, say, the past close to 30 days, I would say. And what I mean by that is almost like, just setting like mental challenges for myself, or like a mental challenge in itself, in a sense where, like, I would literally go every day for 30 days. And it's ongoing still. It's ongoing. Well, I would go 30 days for not entertaining any doubts, any debilitative thoughts, or things that I think are like would almost pause the process, my processing, or the process of my ongoing day, to almost like distract me or change or affect what I'm trying to do that day, which would in effect of like change or cause some kind of issue with, or throwing spanners in the work, one could say, of within the bigger picture of what I'm trying to do for myself. Do you get what I mean? These are the things that's been ongoing for the past, I say, about 20 plus days or so. I say give or take a week. So yeah, around 23 days, around that. That's where I'm at with it. And so it's kind of like I'm doing this challenge where I'm not entertaining or allowing any mental doubts to come into my mind. And I think it was an eye-opening it has been an eye-opening experience for me, for sure, just thinking about it and what I've experienced. And I guess one of the biggest thing I noticed is that at first it was like, you have the little honeymoon period where it's like you go, like say the first 4 or 5 days, and things are cool, things are positive, look good, feel good, the party is ongoing. But then you get to a point where it's like the second week, and if you think of like a fire truck of sorts or something like that, it's almost like I find myself almost putting out a bunch of fires, like literally, like I'll be on road, and you're stuck in traffic and places like stuck in traffic and things like that, and there's the road rage and people just coming at you, or like people doing silly things on road. And it's almost like you don't realize how little things can affect literally affect your mental state, in a sense where, like, yeah, you brush it off, or like because you're not paying attention to it, but it builds and it builds and it builds. And it's almost like I realize, or I could see how these things would kind of affect or change my mental processing, or like my day from being what ideally it should be. Like, speaking of like coming from an optimal perspective of what my day or my mindset is supposed to be, or what it should be, to actually what it ends up being in the end. And I think that's a revelation. That's a revelation in itself, and it's something I think it deserves being paid attention to. So no doubt, I think everybody should try this, and it's a great thing. I've learned so much about myself throughout this whole time I've been doing it, and I intend to continue. And it's just another way to kind of almost like create this kind of environment for yourself, if not for your surrounding. I think that would affect your surroundings eventually, but it's almost like mentally you create this kind of you cultivate this type of surrounding in your head, where it's almost like, you know what, man, it's just I came to this place where it's almost like I don't even need to think about, I just do it, because it's almost like there's less hesitation. You just you have plans, and sometimes I don't know if everybody or if most people that's listening is like this, but sometimes you make plans, and even though your plans made sense when you made them, you'd be at a place where now you're in the wilderness about your plans, and you should be doing it, or it's almost like procrastination sets in, and now you're in a place where you're not even sure whether this makes sense for you in the first place. And I guess these are like semantics type of outlook, or just different forms of like doubt, perhaps one could argue, but they start from somewhere. And these little, well, these type of exercises, I say, from what I'm experienced for myself, is so empowering. And I think not only in terms of efficiency, but in terms of like being on your path in life and what you believe is meant for you, and ensuring that you do your best to make that happen as soon as possible, sooner than later, I would imagine. These are certain things I think that would be pivotal to getting where you want to be sooner than later. And so I bring this to you. White noise. So have a think on it. But as always, I'm always looking to hear what people have to say, and their experiences, especially with an exercise like we've been speaking about on this episode. So absolutely. And thank everyone. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in, and still like positive with the support I've been getting, and people paying attention to my platform and what I'm trying to create. And one of the big things about what I really wanted to bring to this platform is awareness. And I think awareness in general, but also one aspect of awareness is mental awareness. I think is very important. And my opinion and my thoughts on mental is like, it all starts there. It all starts in the mental. You are what you think, and your environment becomes that. It's all interrelated. So like I said, these are different little exercise and revelations, but I appreciate everyone tuning in. And so I just wanted to bring this to people's attention. So pay attention to your thoughts more. Make sure you're putting out the right type of thinking for yourself in the universe. Maybe start to write things down, visualization, different things like that.
It's 15 hours.
Very important. That was my laptop, as always, inquisitive, tuning in. But as I was saying, I appreciate everyone for tuning in and listening to what I have to say. As you know, Poetry Journal out now. And a big part of what I do in terms of like what I created on that on in that poetry piece is a lot to do with awareness and almost mental upliftment. In a sense, there's a sense of catharticism that comes about in that book, the poetry journal, Growing Pains. It's just great. It's just great. And I look back at that book, and every time I read it, it's just like, so much level of innovative poetry, and things that people could use to kind of almost uplift themselves out of the hole that they may be in at that current time, given their situation, going through something. These are just different things, different takes I have on life, and I also want to put out there that I've currently created something, and I'm looking for an agent at the moment. This is going to be a story, a crime thriller story, and I'm looking for that type of agent to I'd like to have this traditionally published, and I want to put this out to the masses. I want my audience on here to kind of to have access to this eventually, also when the time is right and everything, comes together. But for right now, I'm at the process where I'm looking for an agent to get this pitched. But yes, that's another point. That's another part of the path I'm on right now. And yeah, man, it's just exciting time. So, but like I said, just reach out to me, and yeah, man, let's have a conversation. Easiest way to get me is Instagram at Poetry Journal, which is PO3TRYJOURNAL, and reach out to me, and yeah, see what I have going on. Like I said, constantly creating, so there's always something new, but thanks everyone for tuning in, and until next time, take care.